From the Flying T Studio at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today, featuring former Frog running back Basil Mitchell, the world's 10th-ranked men's tennis player, Cam Norrie, plus new head volleyball coach, Jason Williams. And here's your host, the voice of the Frogs, Brian Esteridge.
Episode 8 of Frogs Today begins right now. Thank you for joining us here from the Flying T Club studios. Hey, a reminder, if you want to help student athletes, no better organization than the Flying T Club. We encourage you to go to their website. You can go to ours as well to find out more information at frogstoday.com. We're going to be talking to some student athletes, both past and present, here throughout the show this week. Got a great one lined up for you. And it comes on the heels of a terrific week for TCU athletics. You got beach volleyball in the NCAA finals, obviously. You got that coming up. You got baseball with a big series against Oklahoma still atop those Big 12 standings. How about the number one seeded men's tennis team on a roll still for David Roditi as they get ready for postseason, the NCAA tournament. And then it's kind of award season. We had Funky Town's Finest, where we threw out the MVPs for all the different teams last week. We had the FCA Banquet, where we honored the Rose Bowl champions from 2011, and Coach Dykes kind of let us into his heart a little bit. Tell you what, it's just a good time right now at TCU Athletics. It's a fun season to be a part of right now. Oh, and by the way, did we mention 5 guys in NFL camps off of last year's TCU football team as we wrapped up spring practice this year as well? So lots going on that we get to fill you in on here today on Frogs Today. Jason Williams is going to stop by. He's the new volleyball coach here at TCU. You're going to love this guy. I'm just telling you, he knocked the committee socks off on the job interview, and he's going to get it done in volleyball. He's going to be with us. Cam Norrie is a top 10 tennis player in the world, folks. Speaking of men's tennis, here he is getting ready for Wimbledon on the pro circuit. We're going to catch up with him. He's in Spain today, and he's going to visit with us. So we're going to catch up with Cam Norrie a little bit later on. Oh, and a guy by the name of Basil Mitchell. You remember Basil, the running back on that Sun Bowl team? Basil's going to visit with us in our Where Are They Now segment. So a lot to get into on Frogs Day. Let's get right to it, don't we? Let's go straight to the news desk. And that's where Maggie Hale is standing by with all the latest here from TCU. Maggie, great to see you today.
Thanks, Brian. A lot going on in the world of TCU athletics, including a not-so-sunny Florida trip for the baseball team. After losing the Friday and Saturday game to Florida State, spring showers got the best of the Frogs, canceling the game before the bottom of the 4th inning. Prior to the cancellation, the Frogs rallied back to make the game close after Porter Brown hit his first home run of the season. Unfortunately, the cancellation means all the stats from the Sunday game will be stricken from the team's and players' record. The Frogs had a day off Tuesday to prepare for the Oklahoma series starting tonight. The Sooners took a loss to Dallas Baptist Tuesday night, which should make for a competitive matchup from both teams. The men's tennis team secured the #1 spot in the NCAA tournament Monday afternoon. The Frogs will host the regional as they face off against Drake tonight. The winner of TCU and Drake will play the winner of Utah and Ole Miss Saturday afternoon. Playing at the Frogs' home court is a perfect way to squeeze Horned Frog tennis and baseball into your schedule tonight. The beach volleyball team will be continuing their record year as they sweep Texas A&M Corpus Christi 3-0 to get the program's first NCAA tournament victory. The Frogs are hoping to make this 2 wins as they advance to the quarterfinals tonight. And the Frogs flying on the track this past weekend at the Alumni Muster track meet in College Station. 4 individuals broke meet records and some even recording new personal bests. One of those being Lakeland Conrad, who broke the meet and his personal record in the men's 5K with a time of 14:23.89, finishing first overall. A lot more to come on Frogs Today, so stick with us while we take this short break.
Hi, this is longtime Fort Worth Star-Telegram journalist Mac Engel, and I'm inviting you to join me for the Engel Angle podcast bi-monthly on Wednesdays with guests from the world of sports, entertainment, and general interest. I'll bring you my unique perspective and an entertaining spin to every episode. Listen anywhere you get your podcasts or at engelangle.com. That's ENGEL angle.com. The Angle Angle is a Roxo Media House production.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com. Hey, if you're looking for a fun place to host a company party or large gathering, look no further than TCU Baseball. They invite you to reserve your spot in Home Run Alley. Home Run Alley, the new and improved hospitality area at Lupton Stadium that includes 25 tickets and a covered tent with rental purchase. Additional catering options are available to purchase. Lock in your spot at Frog Alley this season by calling 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com. Welcome back into the Flying T Club studios. Brian Estridge here with you, and we are honored to have as our guest the J. Will. That's what we'll call him, the J-Dub, or we could just say Jason Williams, the new head volleyball coach at TCU, is with us right now. Jason, come on out, my man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good to see you. Glad you're with us, man. So we were joking earlier. There's a few famous Jasons out there.
There are.
Yeah, and you get to add to the list now, right?
And infamous as well.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whenever you see a sports headline and you check it out and you go, hey, that's not me.
Right.
Yeah, and I wasn't involved in that.
Disclaimers.
I wasn't. Good to have you in town, man.
Hey, it's awesome here. I love it.
You know, when this search happened, it's interesting because I was kind of keeping my eye on how it was unfolding, and everyone said, hey, there's a great pool of candidates, a great job. And then there was a late addition or a late bloomer in the search, and their socks were knocked off. And that ended up being you. And I've heard that from multiple people that hey, you just blew them away during the interview process. What was it about TCU that got your interest? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'm from the Metroplex.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up here, and I've been in Texas pretty much my whole life. So for me, Baylor was a great fit. I have a lot of family, a lot of connections there. But if not Baylor, TCU was where I could see myself for a long time. You
grew up in the Plano area, right? Played at Plano East.
Yep. Friday Night Lights.
Friday night, because you were like a 3 or 4 sport letterman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then went to Austin College to play football. Mm-hmm. And then you said the bell kind of went off at one point. And you said, you know what, this whole football thing, maybe volleyball is my future.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the size to really compete at an elite level in football, and I was just getting banged up left and right. So I grew up playing quarterback, ended up playing corner in college, but just fell in love with volleyball. And
so from there, you actually hit the pro circuit. How do you do that? How do you go from football to playing professional volleyball like that?
Yeah, well, the pro circuit was very small back then, and the true pros, those guys are just at a whole nother level,
right.
So you play a lot of qualifiers, they call it, and then when you win or you qualify for a tournament, you get a chance, but it's really difficult. I got to play a match against Todd Rogers and Dowhauser, who were
right.
gold medalists.
Oh, yeah.
And it just humbles you quickly,
yeah.
like how good those guys are.
So when you're on the circuit itself, I mean, is it one of those things where you go, hey, it's not as glamorous as you think? I mean, is it one of those where you're almost playing like beach bars and places like that?
It is a lot of that. It's the hustle,
yeah.
This tournament winners get $500.
Right.
Let's go play that, and then you play the pros and you're like, oh gosh, back to the small time.
Right.
And but I think it's a lot like golfers,
yeah.
Until you make it to the top level, it's a grind.
Yeah, and most of those guys who play at that highest level on that pro circuit, they've played it. These are the ones that I know. They've played it like BYU and UCLA and places like that have men's volleyball programs,
Correct.
right? Yeah,
right. And just the pedigree,
yeah.
the training, the size.
Right.
Those guys are just they're just ridiculous.
Your house lives, eats, and breathes volleyball.
It does.
I mean, your wife's a volleyball coach, right?
Yeah, she's actually in the Hall of Fame at Baylor.
That's right. She played there and coach and now coaches in middle school in Waco.
Middle school and
your daughter played at Baylor.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's in the blood.
Big part. Yeah. My sister-in-law played at Baylor. My other sister-in-law coached a couple of years volleyball at Baylor.
Yeah.
And then my niece now is committed to Baylor. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ties there.
Have you converted them all to Horned Frogs yet?
They all wear a little purple now.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Hey, talk to me about this program. And you know, in the Big 12, going from the Mountain West to the Big 12, it was hard on this program. That adjustment was. How far off are you?
We are not far off at all, actually. When I came in, the cupboard was not bare.
Good.
We have talent. It's just all spring I've been really working on the mentality. Like, you know, they got to believe they can win. They got to believe in the training. And then they just got to learn to do a little bit more. If you do a little more, we can close that gap pretty quick. So I've been really pleased with the progress in the spring.
I've always been told that from a recruiting standpoint, the state of Texas, when it comes to volleyball, that there are 2 or 3 hotbeds around the country, but that this is one of them, and you should be able to win out of the state of Texas. Is that true?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, I mean, we have enough talent in our backyard to be a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah.
So the key is just keeping them here, getting them bought in, and you know, that was probably one of my strengths, is I just have some strong connections here in Texas, so I want to keep the good kids close.
And that is especially true in the club level, right? Which is where you have those strong connections. You were obviously you started there, you kind of worked your way up, and you kept great connections. For folks who don't know, the club level are the clubs are where volleyball really excels, right, and where players come out of.
Yeah, and in Texas, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody says Texas is the hotbed
Right.
for elite athletes.
Yeah.
So we have not only the numbers, just from pure volume. You know, the economy in Texas has helped grow the sport because of the amount of facilities that we just have for them to be able to practice in. But the kind of running joke across the country is Texas just has all the size.
Yeah.
We just have the physical athletes. So
Tell me about the move to playing at Schollmeyer Arena. You like that?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Scholl is like it's more of an intimate space, and that's what you want in volleyball. You don't want this big spread out, massive arena. You want the fans close. You know, you want it loud, and they can really get into it. So I love it.
Your counterpart there, Hector. I know you guys talk often. He's running the beach side for you. He's done an amazing job.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and they've had great success. I asked you earlier because I was curious how many crossover. And you said there's 1 or 2 that may cross over because the sports are different, right?
They are different, and just like any sport, like in order to be elite, you need to commit to it. And so we do have one that's crossing over right now, and we've talked and decided we're going to try to see how many others we can get in the future.
Talk to me about your staff. I know you're excited about that. Morgan Thomas, Kyle Luonga. Give me some sense of what were your priorities when you started to put this group together.
For sure. I mean, I think the experience and the loyalty. So, like, Kyle to me was a no-brainer. He was already on staff. I talked to him. I knew him from his days at Pepperdine.
Right.
We had roomed together at USA Volleyball, so we got to know each other, you know, for a week there.
Yeah.
And just you won't find a higher integrity, higher character guy, like just strong Christian man, you know, and just to me that was an easy hire, you know. And then with Morgan, she had been in the Big 12 before. She was at Texas Tech, and then she went to Pitt, so she has Final Four experience, you know, and that was just her recruiting connections were invaluable as well. So I'm super excited about them.
What can TCU fans, Jason, expect out of your team? What will they see on the floor?
I think they'll see a new style of volleyball. Like, it'll be more fun, faster pace. We'll be a little more athletic moving forward in the sense of more high-flying attackers. You know, just hopefully we just have players who are just going to look like they're just having a blast out on the court, you know. It's
a fairly young sport here at TCU. You know, it hasn't been around. I was trying to think when I got here in '98. I want to. You probably know this off the top of your head.
I think '99.
Was that about when it started?
I think that's when Jill's class started, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think it
somewhere
was just
in
kind of
late '90s.
Yeah, I think it might have been '96, '97.
Right.
Somewhere
she
around
graduated
there.
maybe '99.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think it's '96, '97. So, I mean, you think about that. That's still fairly young for a program. Has that been the one thing that's held this program back, you think, just that, the fact that there was no real history to build off of?
I think that's a factor.
Yeah.
You know, like the storied programs have been around for a long, long time,
Right.
so it does take some time. I mean, think a lot of people forget Penn State, as great as they are,
Yeah.
it took him 30 years before he really got to a championship. So hopefully for us, it won't take that long. But yeah, I think that, and then you got to have some taste of winning.
Yeah.
And once you win, you can build on that. So for me, I've just been fortunate. I've won my whole life at every level. So that's the expectation coming in here.
How have you been received? How have folks treated you so far? Tell me about the TCU family.
It's been overwhelming. The encouragement,
Good.
it's just it's really like, for me, because I am comfortable with the training and I know we'll get there, but it's like everybody has set a high expectation for me. So, but I love it. I love that kind of pressure, because that's where I feel like elite teams and elite players thrive, is in the competition.
Peel back the curtain when you're not thinking about volleyball, which is 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
What are you into?
I'm into fixing up stuff.
Yeah?
I'm like a natural handyman.
Really?
I love solving problems. I've got a project boat sitting on my property in Waco. I've built an Airbnb on my property. Like, I just love doing that stuff.
I got a garage door that's giving me some trouble. You got any time?
Sometime between, maybe tomorrow and next week.
Okay, we'll get it scheduled up. Jason, I'm glad you're here.
Hey,
Once
appreciate
I
it.
heard from committee members how you knocked their socks off, I was fired up for what the future of TCU volleyball is
Yeah,
going to be.
I'm really grateful, and I'm excited about the future as well.
Yeah, let's go have fun with it, man.
Yeah, go
Won't be
for
the
it.
last time you see him here. Jason Williams joining us here on Frogs Today. Coming up next, he's top 10 in the world when it comes to tennis. His name is Cam Norrie, and he joins us from Spain. Next, it's Frogs Today continues in a moment.
Criminals, killers. These stories of crime and punishment in the 21st century Western society, as told through the lens of retired Fort Worth Vice Cop Jake White and investigative journalist John Henry.
Catch a new episode every Saturday anywhere you get your podcast or at signal51chronicles.com. Signal 51 Chronicles is a Roxo Media House production. What do you call a Fort Worth-centric podcast featuring guests of international, national, and local fame? Fortitude FW. Why catch the latest episode? Because every guest has a story to tell. Join hosts J.W. Wilson and Britton Payne every Friday for the latest stories from noted Fort Worthians in business, sports, lifestyle, entertainment, law enforcement, politics, and, well, you get the idea. Fortitude FW, where the stories never die. Listen anywhere you get your podcast or at fortitudefw.com. Fortitude FW is a Roxo Media House production.
Frog fans, TCU Baseball introduces the Frog Flex Pack. This new addition this season gives fans the flexibility and power to decide what games they want to attend. The TCU Baseball Frog Flex Pack gives fans 10 vouchers to redeem for GA tickets at any home game this season for a low price of just $80. That's right, $80. Be sure to purchase your very own Frog Flex Pack today. Call 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com.
FrogsToday.com is the ultimate TCU sports fan community. Members enjoy exclusive content from inside the locker room, feature presentations, access to athletes, coaches, and alumni that are making headlines, and a live show featuring Brian Estridge. Join us and an interactive sports community full of Horned Frog fans now at FrogsToday.com. Frogs Today is a Roxo Media House production.
Welcome back into Frogs Today. Brian Estridge here in the Flying T Club studios. We go live to Madrid, Spain, where joining us right now, he's got to go down as one of the top tennis players in TCU history. Cam Norrie joins us. He's getting ready for, obviously, Wimbledon. He's in Madrid. He's training. And we caught him on the training table as we speak. Cam, good to see your face, man. Thanks for taking the time for us.
No worries at all. Good to hear your voice and to be chatting with TCU.
You know, we want to talk about where you are professionally right now. Obviously, number one player in Great Britain. You've been flirting with that top 10, kind of in and out of the top 10 rankings in the world. We check that all the time. I look at it. I want to see where you stand. I'm curious, as a player, do you look at those rankings?
Yeah, I think if you're a player and you're not looking at the rankings and he knows how far they are from certain positions. And yeah, for me to tick the box of being top 10, and for me and my team, was incredible, and it's just nice to show some of the hard work paying off, and to get myself inside that top 10. And I know Alcaraz has just passed me. I'm number 11 this week, but yeah, I've been working really, really hard, and some practice weeks at TCU as well, paying off, and still helping Rudidi and Devin Bowen still helped me a lot, and been practicing with the team as well there. So all of that together has been instrumental in my success as well.
Cam's getting treatment as we speak, folks. You've had an opportunity to play in some of the greatest tournaments internationally that there are. Give me some sense. I'm leading into Wimbledon here. Give me some sense of what that's like, Cam, and have the opportunity to be able to play in that event. I mean, it's a bucket list for me just as a fan, but as a player, I can't imagine what that feels like.
Yeah, it's such a cool tournament. You're just at first just seeing the grass, and you're just in awe of the grass and the courts, and everyone's dressed up, and people are drinking Pims and eating strawberries and cream. It feels like it's out of a book. It's in like a little village. So I definitely recommend going as a fan, and then obviously to compete there with the tradition of wearing all white and all of that is just unbelievable. And then obviously for me, I live like 10 minutes just down the road from there. So it's a pretty cool event for me, and especially with it being my home slam as well, is pretty cool. Obviously it comes with a lot of pressures and everything, but you get the home support, you get put on the better courts, bigger courts, which is cool as well. But yeah, very cool event, and definitely my favorite tournament.
How does it change your game playing on grass? How do you have to change your approach to the game?
I think the biggest thing is just the movement, and with the grass, you really have to trust the foot, and when you feel comfortable with the movement and the level of aggression you need to play, and I feel like you have to be dictating the points a little bit more, as it's tougher to defend on the grass, but the ball's staying quite low at most times, and serve and return is very big. But for me, the movement, when I'm feeling good on my feet and really trusting my footing, is when I'm playing my best. And it's actually a service that I've improved a lot on, and I had some success last year, but it's definitely a service I've had to be very patient on. It's tough to play well on there, but I think my game style has adapted well to it, and got some parts of my game that work well with it.
Be patient because the game slows down. Is it a slower game on grass?
It's typically nowadays, it's been actually the balls and the conditions have been slower, but it's quite low bouncing, and the ball kind of slides through the court a little bit more. So usually the guy that's been a bit more aggressive and gets the first big hit in is the one having more success in the match. But yeah, I think being a lefty and having a really flat backhand for me it works well.
Cam Norrie's with us right now. He's getting treatment there. He's in Spain, ready for Wimbledon. One of the we were joking with J.J. Henry, the former PGA golfer here at TCU, about the good and the bad news about your business is everyone knows how much you make. And when you look at the career earnings number and you see that you're over $5 million already in your career, that's pretty impressive. I'm curious if that bothers you at all, that people can't actually look at that and go, hey, that guy's made $5 million already.
There's no secrets, there's no secrets of the bank accounts. There's no secrets on if you're having a good day or bad day, the results right there. So I guess it is what it is, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't mind, but and I guess I take I take that, I take having
Yeah,
5
exactly.
million,
That's a good number. Yeah, you mentioned David Burdine earlier. We had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. What a terrific job he's done. Won the national championship in the indoors and the hunt here in the outdoors as well. I mean, tell me about the impact that he has had on your career and maybe some takeaways from your time here at TCU that you carry over now to the professional ranks.
Yeah, I think having Dave Burdine and Devin Bowen have been incredible for my development as a person on the court and off the court. And yeah, it's so cool to be following the team right now. They're number 1 ranked in the nation, and they won the national indoors for the first time in school history. So that was something that our team never did when I was there and previous years. So that's been so great. And yeah, just for me and having those coaches and the teammates that I have had there, and the connections I made, and all the experiences I had at TCU and the development of my game. You're hanging out with your friends every day, playing tennis with them, going to practice every day with them, and competing in the weekends, playing matches, and really learning how to win. And yeah, it's definitely scoped my game, and without TCU, I don't know where I'd be right now. So it's definitely it was a huge development phase for my game in becoming a professional tennis player. And Dave Burdine and Devin Bowen are just, for me, the two best coaches in the nation, and they're great working together, and they both complement each other well with their coaching styles.
What's the reputation of TCU tennis internationally and in the professional ranks? Do people know about it? Do people understand it? Do they know the history here?
They're getting to know it, especially on the tennis tour. They're all, now that TCU is doing better, everyone's saying, wow, TCU had a good result there. The Frogs, yeah, they're doing well. So on the tour, they're getting talked about more and more, and that's only good things. That they're building a good reputation, not just having a couple good years, but they've been every year in, year out, they've been top 5, top 10, and they're getting some of the best recruits, and people, just the foreigners and Americans as well, just they ask me about TCU, and all I can say, obviously I'm biased, but all I can say is good things, and yeah, it's just it's cool to have kind of a second home there as well.
That's awesome. All right, here's the biggest question of the day for you. Has Burdine gotten you one of his hats yet? Do you have one of those hats?
He's actually, one year, I think it was my sophomore year, we all got given one of those hats.
Good.
I tried it on, and I didn't look as good as David did. So
No one does. No one does.
For me, it was a one and done, and he suits it. I think he's worn it enough now that everyone knows him with that, and if he doesn't have that, it's yeah, it's good stuff though. I really like it.
Cam, you're a terrific ambassador for TCU tennis on the international and professional front, and I know how hectic and crazy your schedule is. Best of luck, man, at Wimbledon. Best of luck for the rest of the year on the tour. Thank you for taking the time for us here today and squeezing us in.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for having me, and wish you guys all the best.
There he is, the great Cam Norrie, joining us here on Frogs Today. More to come after this timeout. Frogs Today continues now. You know, we talk periodically about glancing back at some of the heroes in TCU Horned Frog football history. Another opportunity here today. In fact, this is just one of two guys who was able to keep LaDainian Tomlinson out of the starting lineup. Would you welcome the great running back? Basil Mitchell joins us right now. Basil, good to see you, man.
Brian, good to see you.
It's always a pleasure. Have a seat. You look
Yes,
great,
sir.
man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I jokingly say that Dennis Franchione and Basil Mitchell were the only two guys to keep LT from starting at tailback.
Definitely, man. It was hey, I remember the first time we saw him in practice.
Yeah.
LT, man. I said, man, this guy is gonna be great if he can stay healthy.
Yep.
And keep his head on straight. So I said, I got to get my game on. I got to really step it up 2 or 3 notches because I could see it.
Did he make you better?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. I mean, we challenged each other, but he was such a competitor on and off the field, whether we playing dominoes or in the weight room. It didn't matter. He was a great competitor.
But you were different kind of running backs. You had different styles.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. But the one thing that we did have in common is our understanding of the game.
Yeah.
Like we saw the game the same way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the one thing as we had conversations, we like, okay, I see how he looks at things, and he could see how I looked at things, and we're like, that's the similarity.
Now, he told us a story a couple of weeks ago when he was here. Mm-hmm. He said that he came in on his recruiting trip. He and a couple of guys are sitting at a table, and you came and you walked over to the table. And he said, I thought to myself, man, this is really cool that Basil Mitchell would come over and visit with us. And he said, you sat down and you said, are you guys thinking about coming here? And LT said, yeah, I'm thinking about coming here. And you said, don't do it because you won't play. And I thought to myself, now, is that Basil saying, I'm going to take your job? You know, what is, or is that Basil challenging them? What was it at the time?
It was the truth at the time because of my experiences.
Right.
I had the same aspirations when I came to TCU.
Yeah.
You come from being the man, you know what you're capable of. College is a big step from high school.
Right.
And when I got on campus and I saw Derek Cullors and Andre Davis
Yep.
and Coy Woods, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
It's a lot that you have to learn in order to be ready for this outside of your pure talent.
Yeah.
So I was saying, if you're intending on coming here and just picking up where you left off, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's just not how things work. And that's what I was trying to tell him. And I realized my wife has been telling me this for years, that I'm somewhat of a butthole.
Right. You're just honest, right?
That's how I looked at it.
Right, you're just honest.
Yeah, so I could come off as kind of crass sometimes, but
Well,
I was just telling him that. I definitely wanted him to come.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, man, don't think there's going to be a cakewalk coming here.
It is interesting, though, that two guys who are competing. Now, Fran was genius in that he found a way to get you both on the field together. But it was still a level of competition there. But two guys who were competing at the level that you were to become such close friends. That doesn't always happen.
No, you got to have, and we both had it. I'm confident in what I can do. Mm-hmm. He's confident in what he could do. So, I mean, whatever the opportunity, that was my mindset. So whatever the opportunity, when I get my opportunity, I'm going to shine.
Yeah.
So if it's half the game, the whole game, I just need one shot. So that's always been my mindset. And like I said, when I got here, Derek Cullors, Andre Davis, they took me under their wing and they taught me the game. So that, I felt the same responsibility for all the younger running backs coming in. I'm like, I'm not hating on you. Hey, I'm going to get mine when it's my time.
Right.
So I'm going to teach you everything I know. And then, hey, if I beat you out, you can say, I didn't know. You knew because I told you.
But there was a level of respect that you had, too.
Always.
And I think it maybe started with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely. On that recruiting visit, we ended up going to a party as we do on recruiting visits. And LT and I and the other running back that was there on the weekend, we just sat down and we were having a conversation that everybody was doing a party. We were just having a football conversation. Mm-hmm. And as I really liked his mind. I really just liked the way he thought of the game.
Yeah.
And that was the respect. And then the work ethic as he continued to build, man, I was like, I want to do everything that I can do to help him because I've seen the greatness. And not only that, like our families were close.
Right.
My brothers and sisters. I mean, it was like family to us. So, hey, I'm going to be leaving in a year or two. He's got 2 years left. I want to see him take this thing all the way.
Right. And he did.
He did
do that. To me, as a peer, and you're his peer now, when we asked Ladanian about his favorite running backs of all time, or some of the better ones that he saw over the years, and he says Basil Mitchell, what does that mean to you?
Man, that means a lot. That means a lot. That's really all I played the game for.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to make it to the NFL and show everybody that I was a good player, but I was really into my teammates saying, hey, Basil can do this.
Right.
So to see those kind of things where, I didn't have a long career, but everybody I played with had a level of respect for my game that's what I was looking for.
You think about that career here at TCU that kind of culminated in that Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
But you had some ups and you had some downs too. Looking back on it, how did that career make you a better man?
Man, the adversity. Like I said, coming from high school, I had a little adversity, especially sports-wise and school-wise.
Right.
I was a smart kid.
No, you were always a good student.
I was a good student.
Yeah.
But the structure I had at home was to help that a lot.
Yep.
But when you come to college, it's different. You have a lot of freedoms here.
Right.
And it was just, I want to say, it made me a better man because it put me in situations that I'd never been in and challenged me, and nobody would let me get out of them without, curing them.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, whether it was coaches, starting with Coach Sullivan and his staff, Coach Casey, man. I remember being up at 5 a.m. in the morning running stadium bleachers because I was late to class.
Right.
Things like that happen to you. And then playing well and then being demoted. How do you overcome those adversities when you feel like you're doing everything the right way and you're still not getting the results that you think you're supposed to get? So dealing with that, the interpersonal relationships with people, man, it was a great career, man. I mean, I'm a much better man because of being able to do this.
I've never asked anyone this. Coming off that one-win season, when you get the win over SMU at the end of the year that leads into Dennis Franchione, if the transfer portal would have been around back then, would Basil Mitchell have been at TCU for his senior year?
For my senior year, yes. But before then, I probably would have left. I probably would have left after my freshman year.
Really?
Yeah. If I'd had the option.
Are you glad you didn't?
I'm grateful I did. Yeah, it's been a true blessing to be a part of this community and this family.
Yeah.
TCU. Yeah.
So you leave TCU off to the Packers, the NFL for a little while. Yeah, talk about that experience.
Man, if you love football, like the history of the NFL, there's no better place to experience that than being the Green Bay Packer.
Right.
Playing in Lambeau, walking out of the same tunnel as the great Nitschke's, Bart Starrs, and those legendary players, Ice Bowl memories, man. I'm sharing my lockers, two lockers down from Brett Favre.
Right.
I'm having conversations with the great Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Reggie White, the Minister of Defense, he retired, but he would come back to the locker room having him crack jokes about you.
Yeah.
It was just, man, it was pure football, man.
Yeah.
Pure football, man. There's no better place.
How'd you like the cold weather?
Hated it.
Yeah.
I was on the first thing smoking back to Texas after the season was over.
You quickly get back as fast as you could.
I can get back to Texas. But I love the culture. I love the people in Wisconsin and Green Bay there.
Yeah. What's been your greatest football experience?
My greatest football experience, man. That's tough, man. It's just really it's the relationships that I'm still having with teammates from everywhere, man. I'm in a text group with both TCU guys, Green Bay guys. I communicate with them. My high school buddies, just the relationship with football. I realize I'm from a football family.
Right.
Not necessarily players, but fans.
Yes.
We love the culture of football, man.
Yes. And it's paid off for you.
It's paid off great.
Yeah. All right, 5 kiddos. They're not kiddos now anymore.
Not kiddos.
How many?
So,
what is the age range
So
now?
age ranges, my oldest, Ashley, she's 24. She's about to be 25. I have twins, Summer and Jasmine.
Yep.
They're 23.
I remember when they came around,
They're
yes.
24.
Wow,
and
they're
then,
23.
Yeah.
Wow, we're getting old.
Yeah. Ashley, the oldest, she graduated from A&M
Yep.
in 19.
Yep.
Jasmine, one of the twins, she graduated from Prairie View A&M
Yep.
in 20. but her and Summer were both in the band. That was a great experience.
Part of the Prairie View band?
They
Oh,
were
wow.
part of Marching Storm.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was a great experience.
By the way, hold that thought for a second. I'm going to break some news here because, and I'm probably not supposed to do this, but there is a rumor that we might have a band national championship one day. That they're talking about doing that in college football.
Yeah.
That it would, and so you would have like 6 bands go at it. You'd get your final 6, and they go at.
Be like bracketed.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really. I'm like, sign me up. I'm in for that.
Definitely.
All right, I didn't mean to interrupt. All right, keep going.
And then so you have Beja, who is she's 16. She's a junior. She's a track star, one of the top hurdlers.
Where does she go to high school?
She goes to Shelton, Dallas.
Okay,
Yeah,
so she goes to Dallas Shelton. Okay.
Yeah, she's a great athlete.
Yeah.
But she's a focus on track.
Right.
And then my son, the only boy, he's 13. His
Right.
name's Trailer Mitchell. Yeah, and he's at Shelton as well.
Yep.
He's an 8th grader.
Is he a football guy?
He is. He's a football and track guy, and right now he has his build, man. He looks like a player.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had anybody tell me, like when I tell people I played in the NFL
Yeah.
that don't know me,
Right.
it's like, let me guess, you were a DB. You know,
Yeah,
nobody can picture me as a running back because
Right.
I never had that build.
Right.
He has that build, that structure. It's exciting to see.
It's fun to see.
Yeah.
I can see the pride in your face, man.
Yeah, I'm proud of them, man. They work hard, but I just want to see if they have, like I always talk about seeing the game a certain way.
Yeah.
I want to see if he develops as seeing the game that way. Because I think that's what separates a lot of players.
Are you teaching them on how to watch film, and are you already kind of talking through some of that?
I'm talking through my mindset.
Right.
You know, I haven't started watching film with him yet, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about my mindset and how I'm looking at certain situations in the game,
Yep.
game situations and locker room situations,
Yeah.
just the culture. How
Yeah.
do you fit in and how do you respond in certain situations?
How do you be a leader?
How do you be a leader?
Yes.
We had that conversation
Did you?
like the other
I have
day.
that with my 17-year-old all the time, and you wonder if it registers.
You wonder. You don't know until it plays
exactly,
out. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So, what have you been doing outside of after football? What has Basil been occupied with?
Yeah. So most recently, I've commercial real estate. I'm the Texas leasing manager for DLC Management, which is a major shopping center owner.
Right.
We have assets here in Texas, and I lease them all.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. That's a good time.
Yeah, it's been a ride, man. It was 2 years after I was released from Green Bay, and I was working out thinking I was going to get back on the next team, and didn't really completely understand how the whole business aspect of NFL worked.
Right.
And it was 2 years later, and nobody was calling. I finally realized, hey, it might be over.
Yeah.
This might be over. And I actually came back to TCU in 2004, re-enrolled in school.
Remember this?
And I was able to get an internship with Hillwood Development,
Yes.
which is Ross Perot's,
Of course.
out there in Alliance.
One of the best.
Yeah, and I stayed there 4 years learning the development side of the business and helping Alliance Texas grow. And then from there, I moved on to brokerage.
Yeah.
And then got back on the ownership side recently.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. A couple things I want to close with. Dennis Franchione. What did he mean to you back then when he came into the program, and how things changed? What did that mean to you as it sort of flipped the culture, if you will?
Yeah.
What did that mean to you personally?
Yeah, so when I mentioned I wouldn't have left my senior year or junior because I knew Coach Fran. Playing against New Mexico, watching what he did with that program, when they said he's coming here, I said, I got to stay. I mean, because they kicked our butts. And I was like, no, there's no way New Mexico, anything in New Mexico is supposed to be that's in Texas. But he had that program on the uprise. They played good ball. They were sound. I knew some players that he had recruited from Texas. I played against in high school that he was able to get there. He also recruited me in high school.
Right.
And I said, I'm not going to New Mexico, But I saw him as a program builder. I saw him as somebody that could bring TCU to that next level. I saw it, and I wanted to be a part of it. And that's exactly what we got, man. His vision, the way he put things together, the staff that he put together, how he taught us the game. Like the game plans were really easy. Like he would explain it throughout the week where I knew exactly how we were going to win this game based on how he laid it out in practice. It was pivotal for me to understand that structure of winning and how to prepare for games, prepare throughout the week. Mike Shanahan was like that.
Yeah.
He was good in that regard, and I kind of I was like, I noticed that when I was in Denver for a short time. It's like, that's how you prepare for games.
Did your relationship with him change after you graduated, after you left TCU?
Not necessarily change. We were just on different, the communication wasn't there because I was off and doing my thing. He was doing his thing, but the respect was always there. When we saw each other, it was always respect. But we obviously we were a lot closer when I was here because it was an everyday thing. We got into some heated exchanges during practice and doing things, but he never let that, and I never let that change our relationship. He never changed how he coached me or how he thought of me because of something that we didn't see eye to eye with. And that's one thing I respected about him a lot.
Better off because of him?
Better off, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that people could say about you, Basil. Obviously, you had the career in the NFL. You're a great dad, great husband. You know what you are, though?
What's that?
You're one of the nice guys.
Am I nice? Man?
You're a nice guy. And you're fun. You're always fun to talk to. And you can't say that about everyone.
Yeah.
Wear that with a badge of honor, man.
Thank you.
Because you are. You're one of the good guys.
I love people, man.
We love you.
I'm interested in what other people are doing. If you're interested in what I'm doing, we can share and have that dialogue, man.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
Well, let's come back and do it again.
Man, let's do it.
Good to see you,
Thanks,
man.
Brian.
Basil Mitchell joining us here on Frogs Today. A lot more still to come after we do this.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com. On her new video podcast show, Curb Appeal, TV personality Kirby Schnorr talks about everything that appeals to her most with her best friend and City Boots owner and founder, Lizzie Bentley. Joined by their friends and special guests, they cover fashion, food, music, art, and Western culture while giving you a behind-the-scenes look at their lives, favorite places, and things to do in Fort Worth. Curb Appeal drops new episodes weekly at curbappealshow.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. Curb Appeal is a Roxo Media House production. FrogsToday.com is the ultimate TCU sports fan community. Members enjoy exclusive content from inside the locker room, feature presentations, access to athletes, coaches, and alumni that are making headlines, and a live show featuring Brian Estridge. Join us and an interactive sports community full of Horned Frog fans now at FrogsToday.com. Frogs Today is a Roxo Media House production.
Welcome back on Frogs Today. It's time for our expert roundtable. We got rid of Jeff and Jamie this week, and we brought in a true expert to join us right now. The coach, Melissa Triebwasser, is with us right now. Good to see your face, Melissa. How are you?
Hey, I don't know how I can follow that introduction, Brian, but I'll play the part for today of expert, I guess.
Yeah, we've sent Jamie out to get a beard cut. We'll see what next week looks like.
Thank goodness,
that's
man.
the number one objective.
This guy's got to realize he's on TV now.
Exactly.
This guy's got to trim it up.
Yeah, I know, and we're getting that taken care of. So, hey, I got a couple things I want to dive in with you about. One is you've started this new series on FrogsToday.com called Faces of the Frogs, and folks can go in and you do these one-on-one interviews with former players. You had Landry Burdine on, the former football player, after Mark Tomberdahl told us that he was kind of the difference maker on that Sun Bowl team. But this week you talked to Chad Huffman, who was I can remember this plain as day, Melissa. He was going to be the starter at quarterback going into the game at Texas, where Andy Dalton ended up having to start as a freshman, wasn't he, before choosing baseball?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that, and he was great. Chad was awesome to have. I mean, you're looking at a guy who not only was a part of the football program when they went to Norman and beat OU in 2005, which I think most TCU fans would point to as, the Sun Bowl, and then that was kind of the next big step forward for that program. And then he was there for year one of the Jim Schlossnagle era too. So, you talk about a guy who's been a foundational piece of the two major programs on TCU campus, and Chad Huffman has seen things nobody else has seen, and had a chance to compete for that starting job going into what ended up being Andy Dalton's season. Thought he was pretty confident, felt like he knew the playbook. Went up to the Cape Cod League and realized that his long-term future was probably baseball, and decided to make a commitment to that. Had a chance to get drafted, left early to go pursue his professional dreams, and what might have been, we'll never know. But Chad still left us with quite a few memories along the way.
Did he start with the Padres? Is that the first organization? Did y'all get into that?
I mean, he had a long history when it came down to, where he ended up playing professional baseball. He was drafted by where was he? Hold on, I can find this for you. He was drafted by the Padres. You are correct. Yeah. So drafted by the Padres, was waived in a fun turn of events for Matt Stairs. If everyone remembers Matt Stairs, I think he was another one of those highly touted prospects. Saw the field professionally for the first time in New York with the Yankees. And he talked about what that moment was like. And, Derek Jeter coming up and introducing himself to him and him being like, yeah, I know who you are, Derek. So he had some great experiences, played in Japan. It's kind of a long, winding career, but got to do some really amazing things and had some great moments as a professional too.
Did he talk about his older brother Royce, who was a great player here as well? Another dual sport guy, played football and baseball here at TCU.
Yeah, and his father was also a TCU athlete, football player, and I think his uncle was as well. So when you talk about royal family of TCU, the Huffman family is one of those kind of intrinsic names to TCU athletic success. So yeah, we talked about Royce and how much cooler Chad was since he was a quarterback and Royce was mostly a punter. So he wins that one, I think, at family dinners.
But Royce was, he might be one of the cooler punters going because he's a barefoot punter. So if you're a barefoot punter, that automatically makes you cooler, doesn't it?
I think so. It's, if you're not the punt god, Matt Arrieta, then the next coolest thing is to be barefoot, I guess, on the football field.
And by the way, hey, we better mention their other brother, Scott, the middle brother who played linebacker at Rice. And we better mention him as well because Scott, we'll hear from Scott if we don't. But another good athlete. I mean, that family, they just kind of had it going on for a while there, and I bet it was fun to catch up with Chad.
Pretty good run, pretty good run, and he had some great stories. He talked about throwing footballs through the rental car windows when he was up at the Cape Cod League, trying to stay fresh, and his conversation with Gary Patterson when he let him know he was going to go pro. There was lots of good stuff in that interview, and would love for everybody to check it out, give it a listen, podcast or video. But Chad was awesome. It was great to talk to, and another really fun trip down memory lane for people.
Yeah, it's called Faces of the Frogs. It's a ongoing series with the Melissa hosts. You can find it at frogstoday.com and on our YouTube page here as well. I want to shift gears on you now. Let's talk a little bit about women's basketball. Reagan Peebley's going to be by here in a couple of weeks. Her schedule, we're trying to work through her schedule right now, the head women's basketball coach. We're going to see a new look out of this women's basketball team next year, aren't we?
Yeah, obviously the last couple of seasons, I don't think any program on TCU's campus was hit harder or more dramatically by the COVID shutdown than women's basketball. I mean, that was a team that was heading into the Big 12 tournament as a number 2 seed, had just a bunch of great wins over ranked opponents, was a shoo-in for the NCAA tournament and had a chance, to maybe make a Sweet 16 run or beyond. I mean, that team was absolutely stacked, and from that point on, it just hasn't been the same. And so I think, Coach Peebley's done a great job of recruiting, but just bringing all those pieces together and keeping kind of that momentum going has been a challenge. So TCU is going to see, it looks like 8 players have transferred out of the program, entered the portal, at least at this point. They've got a couple commitments coming in, 4 or 5. They've got a couple of good freshmen coming in. But it's definitely going to be a new look from top to bottom on that roster. And, I'm excited as somebody who's followed the program closely. I think Coach Peebley is just not only a great basketball coach, but a great culture builder. And so she's going to have an opportunity to kind of revamp that culture and build it back up from the ground up. You're losing some talent, it's going to hurt, losing Yummy Morris and Asia Holmes. And, I think that there are some Tabby Diggs too. She's transferring in conference. That's tough, but I'm excited to see what she does. And kind of, I think it's a good time for a clean slate and see if they can get that program back to where it was, because they had all the momentum in the world going on, heading into March of 2020. And, obviously we all know what they've been through the last couple of years since then. So I think that this is kind of a blessing in disguise opportunity for them. Tear it down, build it back up, and see if she can get that program back up and rolling.
I love it. Let's talk a little college baseball right now, TCU baseball specifically, obviously. Oklahoma this weekend, that's the big series, the one at hand. That starting rotation for TCU and Coach Sarlos, do you feel like it's kind of settled in at this point?
I think everybody was feeling really, really good about things. I mean, when you lost Austin, and you had Marcelo Perez come in, it looked like after his first start was a little bit shaky, but he's done an exceptional job the last 2 weekends. Was great against Oklahoma State and really was great for about, I think, 5 innings Saturday against Florida State. But I think that there are some concerns about Friday nights. I mean, if you look at the last couple of weeks, obviously the Texas game, you ran into Pete Hansen buzzsaw. Riley pitched great, but Pete just pitched a little bit better. But since then, Cornelio's really struggled. He struggled Friday night up in Stillwater, and he didn't even get an out Friday in Tallahassee. And this is just a true sophomore. And I think that's the thing that, we talked about it last time too, but that we've got to remember with this TCU baseball program is they are incredibly young. You're going to hit that wall, and last season still didn't feel like a normal season in a lot of ways. So if Cornelio can push through this tough stretch and go back and perform well against Oklahoma, I think that'll give them a lot of confidence heading into the Big 12 tournament. But when you look at the bookend starters, both coming off a really rough weekends with Brett Walker also struggling before the rain out on Sunday, you're really hoping that either Austin Krob can come back and be fully healthy and fill one of those slots, or that one of those guys gets back rolling. I'd imagine that the program still has all the faith in the world in those two guys, and is going to give them another opportunity this weekend, especially at home. But I think if you're a TCU fan, and as you kind of hit this May stretch, and what's coming with the Big 12 tournament, and you're trying to hang on to an opportunity to host a regional, you want to see this pitching kind of tighten up, especially your weekend rotation.
That early projection that I saw, and I know you've seen this, what do they call it? The way too early projections as far
way
as
too early.
regional hosts are concerned, has TCU hosting and Texas A&M coming here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, doesn't that just sound like just the most delicious thing in the entire world? I mean, and the Aggies are on a bit of a tear right now. They're playing really, really good baseball. And if you look at TCU, had that incredible stretch against Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, knocking off 2 top 5 teams with, getting 5 out of those 6 games. But A&M is not going away. And that Schloss is going to have those guys motivated to want to host that regional if it's going to come down to those 2 programs, which it very well could. So, what TCU does against Oklahoma and Kansas and what they do in the Big 12 tournament is going to go a long way to determining who's going to have the leg up. But I think that the NCAA is smart enough to know that they can get those 2 programs in the same regional. They're going to do everything they can to make that happen.
You got to do it. You have got to do it. There's no question. Melissa, always a pleasure. Thanks for hopping on with us via Vimeo here. It's so much more fun when you're here than Jeff and Jamie.
I don't want to speak poorly about my colleagues, but I'm not going to disagree with you either.
All right. That's Melissa Triebwasser joining us here on this edition of Frogs Today. Hey, we encourage you to go to frogstoday.com to check out all those guys. Terrific writers that we have there. Great stories that are up all the time. Great interaction as well. Click that subscribe button on the top right-hand corner. We got to get you into the Lizard Lounge, okay? You got to get in there and start churning things up with us. Melissa will be there. Jamie, Jeff, I'll be in there as well. You can find all the info you need on TCU Athletics every day. It should be your go-to site. First thing you do when you get up in the morning, go to frogstoday.com. Again, thanks for joining us here from the Flying T Club studios. For Melissa, Jamie, Jeff, everybody who helps make this happen, I want you to have a great week. See you back here again next week for another edition of Frogs Today.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying T Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House.